Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Carmina, your host, and today we are going to look at an astrologer's take on the outbreak and pandemic right now of the coronavirus. So, I haven't made the video in a long time, and I wouldn't have liked this video, to be on such a sad topic. However, it's reality, it's what's happening. You guys have been asking me, so here I am telling you guys, trying to translate to you the astrological symbols and how they reflected into the world events. So the coronavirus outbreak was announced, was made public as an epidemic towards the end of December 2019. What else happened towards the end of 2019? We had that solar eclipse on 26th of December, where we had Sun, Moon, Jupiter, Saturn, South Node, and Pluto all in one sign, like a very busy sign, a very busy conjunction, right? Even it's not conjunct to the degrees, they're still like all populating one sign. So there's a lot of pressure there. So all these planets were in the sign of Capricorn, opposed to the North Node, which is in the sign of Cancer. So what is Capricorn? It can be old structures, viscerally reacting with fear to things, like crocodiles, because Capricorns are associated to crocodiles and large animals that haven't really changed their structure throughout time, right? For thousands and tens of thousands of years. So Capricorn is that rigid structure that's been shaking up. It can also, deal with authority, with corporations and things like that. But the ancient text, the ancient Hindu text Jaimini, translated by Ernst Wilhelm, connects Capricorn to things flying in the air and also, fatalistic events. So viruses, of course, are flying through the air. And the nodes are also connected to viruses and bacteria. So I think that pressure point at the end of December was the trigger for this breakout, this pandemic that is spreading very, very fast. So what can we say about this? We can say that it affects mostly the elderly people. Out of the people infected, the age group who died the most are people over 80 years old. And most of them had pre-existing conditions, and also the younger people who died also had pre-existing illnesses. So I'm going to make the connection here with Saturn. Saturn that's been with Pluto with the South Node for about 2 years. Saturn is the planet that represents the oldest. It's the oldest among the so-called personal planets. So it represents elderly people. It also represents people with some weakness, with some affliction. So this Saturn, under the pressure of Pluto and the South Node, and also under the pressure of this eclipse, shows why, most people afflicted are the elderly. Also, I made an eclipse video when it happened, and I said this is part of a family of eclipses that's very difficult and that takes things away. You see it coming, but it's still painful when, things and people are taken. And giving the example of relationships, like if a relationship is on the rocks, then that eclipse will break it, such as was the case of, Jeffree Star and Nathan, for instance. But I think it also has to do with the relationship to your own health, the relationship to other people in your life. So with this coronavirus outbreak, a lot of families had the elderly being taken away earlier than expected. So that's the Saturn involvement. That's the difficult eclipse family of taking away. However, I think things could have been much worse. The mortality rate could have been much worse. So I think Jupiter being there in Capricorn is also lending a helping hand, although it's not strong, super strong. It's still, you know, the benefic, it's the guru, it's giving a blessing. So it's still protecting in some way. I know this disease is spreading very fast, but the mortality rate is, it varies from country to country. In some countries it's higher, in some countries lower. But, you know, I think it could be a lot worse. And I'm going to connect to Jupiter also children. Jupiter is connected to joy, to children. And children from 0 to 9, you know, are not, there were no deaths, right? Also because this virus is very slow to incubate. It takes 14 days. This is also a Saturn thing, right? A delay, you know, taking longer. So children's bodies are more reactive. They react immediately to things, but that's why they don't really get sick, because the incubation period is so long. I mean, even if they get sick, it's not so serious. They get over it. So I think that's kind of the blessing in it. So what do I think will happen next? Well, Saturn is going to move away from Pluto, and the South Node is going to move to the next sign soon, towards the end of March. But then in July, it's going to go back retrograde. So I think there's going to be a slowing down curve worldwide of the cases. And maybe in July, there's going to be something else, like a new wave of cases between July and December. Yeah, I was reading the testimonial, an interview with an Italian doctor who was saying that patients know that they are about to die. They come to the hospital on their own, and right before they die, they're very lucid, they're very aware, not like in other disease cases. So they ask, you know, for a phone call to say goodbye to their loved ones, and then they just pass peacefully. The doctor compared it to drowning. So it's also a very Saturnian thing, right? Saturn in its own sign, you know, it knows it's mortal. The person is aware of their mortality, you know, it's something chronic. They see it coming and they're being realistic. They just want to say goodbye to their loved ones, and then they pass. I think that's a very beautiful and sad thing at the same time, like knowing that you're about to die and having the chance to say goodbye. That's like a South Node thing. It's having the chance to wrap up, to have a conclusion with your life, and being aware of it, being conscious of it. That's the conjunction Saturn, South Node, Pluto. So yeah, I think overall it is a very difficult time we're going through. It could have been a lot worse. Thank God for that Jupiter there. That's giving us some relief, and it's protecting, you know, children from having mortality rate. But it will affect us on a worldwide scale, and the way it's going to affect us, it can also depend on you. Of course, there's a negative effect that we all know, but is there a silver lining? What is this trying to teach us? Maybe, you know, maybe instead of being stuck in the everyday routine, we can go more inward, right? Because the sign opposite Capricorn is Cancer. Just go inward, go home, spend time with the family, see what you like to do. And also, you know, another silver lining that I've been reading in the news is that there's been a lot less pollution because people have been self-quarantining. There've been less traffic and less everything. So that's also a silver lining for nature in general and for us, because we are part of nature. So yeah, this is it's a difficult time, but if we approach it realistically and with calm, and try to see the deeper meaning behind it. Try to see maybe it's an invitation to, you know, becoming more connected to our reality, to nature, to your family, you know, instead of spending all the time without them. Maybe it's time to reconnect and see what's going on at home. Yeah, that's my take on it in a nutshell. I hope I see you guys soon. I hope you're, you know, staying safe and taking care of yourselves. And yeah, let me know if there's a topic you're dying for me to cover. Not actually dying, like symbolically, metaphorically, okay? You can check out my website also if you feel like reading, if you feel like taking some classes, or, you know, getting the cards of truth, because the post is still working here. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.